Hello, sweetheart. He called me sweetheart, Marshall. Maybe that's because he likes you.
Hello and welcome to... One day I will get through one of these without sighing, but the problem is...
Such a real sigh as well.
Yeah. No, it's just
Oh, man.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Kill James Bond. I, under protest, am Alice Caldwell-Kelly. I am joined by my friends and, I guess, torturers, Abigail Thorne and Devon.
Hey.
Listen, I never said all of these movies would be good. I said they'd be interesting to see how the films reacted to James Bond.
This was also not that.
Yeah.
It wasn't even interesting, no. This one was just trash.
No.
The first 30 minutes are hilarious, and then it just gets
This
real
is going to
bad.
be a pretty riffs-based episode. We saw FX-18, Secret Agent.
Mm-hmm.
And you know it's good because IMDb can't decide on what the title is. It might be FX-18, it might be FX-18 Agent Secret, it might have some like other shit in there. This is the first in a series of movies about a spy called Francis Copland or Copland.
Oh, there's more?
Yeah.
There's many more of
fuck
these.
me.
There's more, but none of them star the same guy as Copland.
No.
Oh, thank
which
God.
is really, yeah, thank God. Oh, well, actually, the actor does come back in our series, but he doesn't come back as this guy. He just dipped back
Fucking
into
hell.
the fucking Eurospy money.
We're going to become intimately familiar with a guy called Ken Clark.
Oh,
And Ken Clark was this B-movie actor who had a sort of a short career in Hollywood. They tried putting him in westerns. He wasn't very good. He fell out of Hollywood, and he ended up doing this. Like, he did some like spaghetti westerns, and he did some Eurospy movies. Big man, big guy.
Back in the days where you could just, like, anybody was allowed to have an acting career. If you're, like, over 6 foot, someone would be like, hey, you want to be in movies? Which, to be fair, is also, like, that did happen to me recently. But, yeah, I also auditioned.
But there's something interesting to be said about this, right? Because I was talking with a friend of the show and DSALA organizer Noah Suarez Sykes about
Legend.
why something we talked about last episode about why people looked different in 60s movies. And the answer is because of the GI Bill. And because after the war, working class white Americans got to like go to school for acting and get cast in stuff. Or just get cast in stuff off the basis of, like, you know, being a set carpenter or whatever. I think Ken Clark was, like, a construction worker. And, yeah, that's why, is because you saw, like, a greater diversity of at least white American faces in movies. That's his theory. So I think there really is something to say about this.
What about the women?
what about the women?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's the stance of the movie.
That's true.
Yeah,
I mean, this
true.
is a movie that has a problem with women. I mean, I tend to see a lot of these in our line of work, but even so. So, yeah, FX-18 is, this character, Francis Copland, I think he's meant to be, like, French or Belgian. And again, it's another one of these things where they wrote a bunch of pulp novels and then they adapted this into 6 movies. He's never played by the same guy in like 2 of them.
Which really solid indicator that this is like a role that you want to be doing. These are movies you want to be acting in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from 1957 to 1968, and this is technically the second one, but it's the first one that's like in the Eurospy bracket, which is FX-18 Secret Agent 1964. And incidentally, I will say this, and this is going to make it much funnier when I talk about how bad this movie is. Academy Award-winning director.
Really? Who was it?
There was like 3 directors at this point, though. They ran out of guys to give the Academy Award to. in 56 and was just like,
Yeah.
fuck it.
It's kind of the opposite way around, actually.
Oh, no.
This director, Maurice Cloche, he got like a Sympathy Academy Award. He won Best Film in a Foreign Language in 1948.
I didn't know you could win a Sympathy Academy. How do I get one of them?
Go back in time to 1948.
Just like
and
we
be
feel
French.
bad for you.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think going back to 1948 would be a particularly good idea for any of us.
No.
It's fine. I'm sure.
Chi-Hi becomes blonde bombshell
Mm.
and podcaster.
Yeah,
We begin with a.
you could invent being trapped. We'll talk about what we begin with in a second, I'm sure.
You know, I don't even care anymore about what we begin with.
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you anymore because
please.
I've put you in a position where you have to talk about this movie that
Sure.
I've made you watch, and
Sure.
I'm also distracting you from talking about the movie. So I'm coming at you in both directions on this one.
The first half an hour of the film is good. So it
Right.
starts off with something that we love, which is the cigarette that kills you instantly.
Yes, this bit made me sit up on my seat. Now, it promised something the rest of the movie doesn't deliver, which is we start with a guy like assembling a special cigarette on a desk, and I'm like, okay. But we just see his hands, and then it pans up. We get a kind of Bondish theme, and we get a shot of the face of some guy.
A guy.
Yeah, then a big W letter appears on screen.
The theme song is fucked. Because it sounds like if you got like a 50s, 60s big band to do the Speed Racer theme.
Yeah, no, it's
It's like the most discount Bond ever. It's like Aldi value
so
Bond.
funny.
It's atrocious.
But by the sacred laws of Bond, right? The first guy you see doing spy stuff, that's not James Bond,
No.
right?
No.
That's 009, right? That's some guy.
In this case, he's a bad guy. He's some like Tory MP looking motherfucker walking around
Yeah.
France suspiciously.
His name is
All of these
Noro.
Mhm.
We follow him. We know he's in Rome because he does this gay little jog up the Spanish steps, and then he deploys the cigarette that kills you instantly. This artist is getting arrested by the cops. He
Yeah.
leans out from around the corner, blows the cigarette at him, and it fires a little dart with curare in it
Yeah.
that paralyzes and kills
it's the
guy.
cigarette that kills you instantly.
Yes,
Which
yeah.
I was
it's
like, oh, fuck, the twist.
yeah, the U is sort of variable.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Cigarette that kills someone else.
You've got a whole pack of, your pack of cigarettes is like a tool belt. It's got all different applications here. Don't get them mixed up.
my Roparo cigarette that I use if I need to shimmy up to any ledges. My water cigarette to blow out candles. My noisemaker cigarette.
1950s LA gumshoe James Bond. All of his gadgets are cigarettes.
All right, after the cigarette that's good for you, they need to invent the cigarette that contains a helpful gadget.
Yeah, the cigarette that's good for you is in there too. That's like a battlefield ration he's got.
Cigarette that you smoke it and it deploys a skeleton key and you can pick locks with it.
Yeah.
Cigarette that regains between 1 and 8 hit points.
Yeah, but it's on a die, so it's never the same every time.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
3. If you need it, it's going to be 3.
This painter is killed by the dangers of secondhand smoking. And
True.
then this Tory MP looking motherfucker, Noro, throws a bomb through the window of his painting.
Why wouldn't you
house?
just do that first?
Yeah, I'd have done
Why
that.
did you have to fuck around with the
But
cigarette?
then
Anyway.
he puts on some sunglasses and walks away ba-da, ba-da.
Yeah, really frenetic soundtrack, as you've mentioned.
Mhm.
Got one piece of music and it's this fucked speed race.
in the course of the scene, they can't decide. The direction can't decide whether or not he's being chased. So he spends half of it jogging away from stuff, and then half of it just kind of brazening it out, putting on sunglasses. But it's not in any meaningful sequence.
Yeah.
It's a sort of really poorly edited film, apart from anything else. So you're just
Yeah, it's very badly edited.
Before they invented good editing as well, I'm afraid.
yeah, genuinely, yeah. So of course now we have to go to M brackets French.
I love this M.
Yeah,
He's
best
so good.
character. Yeah.
This is a little bit cunty of an M,
Yeah,
to be honest.
yeah.
This is Jacques Dacmine playing Le Vieux, the old man.
Mhm.
And he goes, okay, well, how many dudes do we know that kill you, that have access to the cigarette that kills you instantly?
Yeah. It's great. No computer. He's just there spinning ideas up in his mind. He's just sat at his desk like, all right,
He's
he
in
was
a
killed with
breakout room.
curare. He's go, too bad. That was promising. I liked his pictures. And he's just like, fuck it. There's only 3 guys left who can work with curare, and it's not these 2 arbitrarily. So it must be this guy. And
Actually, what he says is there's only 3 guys in the world who can work with curare, and 2 of them are dead. And I'm like, there's 1 guy in the world. But you didn't want to say that because that's too convenient.
Yeah, we keep those guys on the files just for the sake of padding it out a bit, you know?
He did that shit in Uncle a couple of times as well.
And of course, like the one guy in the world is the guy we just saw. What's like Noro. And his ex-wife.
Mask of Noro.
His ex-wife is a smoke show baddie who lives in Rome. So what do? We call our man in Rome.
Yeah, and you do that by picking up the phone and going, "Get me Rome," and then they do.
And what's our man in Rome doing? Like, of course, when we cut to our hero, what's he doing? Of course, he's lounging by the pool next to a beautiful woman in a swimsuit.
Makes sense.
A couple of things going on here. First of all, this Bond is blonde, which until Daniel Craig was not acceptable. He is an alarmingly hairy man. Like, he makes Sean Connery look like a twink.
This guy is astute.
Unbelievable.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
His face is so leathery, like and his hair is so blonde. He looks like Roger Moore fucked Donald Trump. Like, it's like an incredible crossover.
On the poster, he looks a bit like Trump because he has this like weird stance. It's like mimeographed. Yeah, it's strange.
He is like strangely Trumpy. And also another thing funny about the scene is that the woman he's lying next to looks so bored.
Yeah. So this is ostensibly Francis Copland, but because we got the English dub, which is dubbed unintelligibly, they changed his name.
This dub is crazy.
They changed his name to Cabtree.
Yeah, what the fuck was that about?
Yeah.
I've been calling her Crandall, sort of thing. Every name is changed, which means it's impossible, apart from like Noro's, to like put together who is who.
That's fine. That's fine. It's not much of a plot.
I'm just gonna call him FX-18 because I'm not calling fucking Cabtree like that's a name.
So M is like, yo, track down Noro's
like on the street trying to come up with the surname. You kid, look at things like that. Cabtree.
Yeah. M says track down Nora's smoke show ex-wife, and then immediately we cut to her in the bath. No establishing shots. This movie has none of it. We just cut to her in the bath, and he steps into frame. He's like, hello. I'm like, what?
Oh!
This is the other thing that took me like 20 minutes to work out what was wrong with it, is aside from no establishing shots, there's no fades. Only cuts, which means that there's no like distinction between the end of a scene. So he just lurches from one to another. He like gets up, walks away from the pool, walks into this woman's apartment. Essentially, everything
feels like it's happening immediately. It feels like we're trying to rush things, which is weird because the back half of the film just drags. But of course, go and see the smoke show. What woman? What's she doing? She's in the bath. She's naked. Of course she is.
Two things I want to point out here. First of all, as he's looking through her apartment, alarmingly tight pants. Like the ass on this guy is like very, very like prominent. And second of all, another sort of Bond discrepancy. He's a big guy. He's like muscular, like in a way that sort of like he would be like in an Uncle film. He would be the mini boss that you have to fight in the gym, right? And this kind of pays off a little bit. They lean into it one time in one detail I like, which is he comes up to her in the bath. We get some sort of like porn level dialogue where she's like, I'm not at the beach. This is a bathtub. And then, predictably, a guy tries to like, looks like you don't have a lifeguard for your beach. But predictably, a guy comes up and tries to hit him over the back of the head with a crowbar.
So what happens is a henchman just steps into frame.
Really funny.
There's no change of shot between the dialogue and the action. A guy it's like Dark Place. A guy just steps in and goes, "Whatcha?"
Every fucking scene should be like bookended with a little thing that goes "scene missing," and it would make way more sense.
Yeah,
just hard cuts.
So the guy tries to hit him over the back of the head with a crowbar, right? And the thing that I like in this scene is that because he's such a big guy, I just say this in Trump voice every time. Because he's such a big guy, he like just tanks it. He's just fine, and that's the one piece of like sense of humor about this about itself. This movie has.
He withstands
like,
an uncle chop.
Yeah, is that like, no, having him just get knocked out here is like not believable. He's too large physically.
The thing is, though, like he's a big muscular guy, and obviously by the standards of the 60s, he's meant to be like, very muscular and imposing. By today's standards, I think just because the standard for like what a muscular man on film looks like has changed, he doesn't look unattainably jacked in this.
Just kind of looks like a normal Australian more than anything.
Like, you could get this jacked in like, I don't know, 6 to 9 months. Like, it's not that difficult.
With this patented program that we're selling.
Yeah.
The FX-18 diet plan.
One thing I would like to do is just like maybe send one of our current unattainable bodies just back in time and see what they would do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like any of us.
Yeah, of course.
we go back to 1948 and I accidentally start the existence of like MTF transition,
But this guy's like 1.5 Devons in terms of how jacked he is. Like maybe 1.2 Devons, and it's like,
thank you. Which, as we know, 1 Devon is roughly. What's his name? Damn it, Bruce Willis in Die Hard is 1
John
Devon.
McClane. Yeah.
And this guy's just about 2, I'd say. And he's so red, and his face is all wrong, and he doesn't wear suits. This is the most fundamentally miscast Bond I've ever seen in my fucking life.
He's never worn sun cream in his life. Like
they put him in a suit near the end,
terrible.
And it's so funny.
Yeah,
it's so clearly a guy who spent most of his career working in westerns, who then
he's so John Wayne. Yeah,
happened to be in France at a time when they decided they were going to cash in on Bond. And just put him in the movie.
He's like Beach Ken. His job is just Beach.
Yeah. The dub isn't helping either, because it's given him like a solidly like John Wayne type voice. Like he's just being like, I share your taste in women the whole time. And I'm like, this isn't a Bond. I don't.
Also, his dialogue's
I enjoy
not
bourbon,
suave,
especially when it's served at the correct temperature.
His dialogue isn't suave, because he goes in to see this woman in the bath and she says, what do you want? He goes, you, maybe, we'll see. Hey, in the meantime, I'm looking for your husband. And it's like, what? Like, huh?
And so she misdirects him. She's like, he's dead. By the way, there's a guy coming up behind you with a crowbar. He has this fight with a guy, and then he locks both him and her in the bathroom that locks from the outside. Part
of the film is missing. Yeah. So we just kind of suddenly jump, and she's dressed dry and out of the bath in like clown pajamas as the fight continues.
The fight is so funny. There's no music to the fight scenes. That's one of the things that you need to understand, is that it's just the sound of these two guys hitting each other dubbed.
So I can't stress enough. They had one camera and a cameraman who was profoundly uncomfortable with using it. Yeah. So the thing about like keeping one shot for a long time is that, apart from anything else, sets start to look like sets.
Yeah.
And so they fight across this whole room, and you're like, damn, that's an unusually capacious and like well-stocked bathroom.
Dev, you said in the group chat the impression of watching this film is like watching a school play.
Yeah, that was about this scene.
It's like one unbroken shot, and then like the acting is terrible. It does feel like a bad stage show.
The thing about making a movie in Europe in the 60s is that it was much like being like a ship's captain in the 1500s, is that you just go down to where all the guys are and you just point at them and be like, you're making the movie today. You're my cameraman today. Come on here. Come on set. Like you just...
So you get some information from her by, I don't fucking remember.
M just pulls it out of his ass.
Yeah.
M says, what's going to happen in the movie is this.
Yeah, and what M decides is going to happen in the movie is, I'm going to bring in a second guy. This second guy, this is Murphy. This is like FX-18's trainee.
It's Jimmy Olsen.
In the dub, dub, like he's a sort of like normal-ish, younger-looking man, but in the dub, he has been voiced by a 12-year-old who's been doing a lot of voice training because, like,
he's so funny. You expect him to be wearing a little like propeller hat when he's talking.
Yes, yeah, he sounds like Jimmy Olsen, Superman's friend.
Yeah.
He's boy-coded. He is the boy-coded spy.
Mm-hmm.
He's new. He's like the new kind of. He's just finished basic training.
Yeah, he's a zoomer.
Yeah.
He tries talking to to M, and M's like, "What does bussin' no cap mean? Am I cap?"
Yeah.
But like the 1960s version of that, where he like calls him buddy, and M like takes this kind of like really sort of personally.
Yeah.
And it's just like very strange to realize that was that era's Zoomers.
Yeah.
You know, this is the equivalent of showing up in the office with the sort of like TikTok perm.
Mm-hmm. Murphy's like, fuck me in the ass, and M's like, are you flirting with me?
Yeah, did you just say fuck me in the ass in a sort of like meaningful way, or are you just using that to make conversation? He's like, for real, I'm straight, bussin', no cap.
It's like, so true, bestie.
Yeah.
That's what happens in this fucking scene.
What happens in the scene?
So M says, I'm going to send you in to track down whatever the fuck's going on in this film, because they're not going to be looking for dipshits. They're going to be expecting us to...
Now, this is a smart tactic.
They're going to be expecting us to send a good agent, but instead we're going to send you because you're an asshole. Like,
But they're going to be expecting a spy, not a guy filming TikToks on his phone. And Murphy goes, gotcha.
He goes, straight bussin', boss. Where am I dropping?
Straight bussin'. Where am I going? And he goes, oh, it's this like travel agency in Marseille called A Cup. And I go, huh?
yeah, what
And
the fuck?
it turns out it's A Cop, which is not really any better, but it's because it's a really bad print of a bad dub of a bad movie. It's sort of like unintelligible. I really struggled because like so much of this of my job now is remembering a movie I saw the day before and recounting the narrative, right?
Yes.
With this, I really to the point where I was like drawing a clock, right, to make sure I like was still sort of like compos mentis, because I cannot remember a fucking thing that happens in 2/3 of this movie. I saw it yesterday.
I watched this earlier today, and it's similarly just gone.
The editing is so bad, it just falls right out of your brain. But he says, right, go to Marseille and write a report or some shit. Murphy goes to Marseille and is immediately captured. Next
He
scene.
snoops around by just like walking slowly with his arms completely straight by his side, just sort of looking
Yeah, that's
around.
great.
He searches a room, not clear what the room is or what he's searching
No
for,
idea.
but gets immediately captured.
That's the A Cup travel agency.
Yeah, so he gets immediately captured and then immediately killed.
How does he get captured though?
he gets Uncle chopped
back up
by
a bit.
somebody?
No, there's a
Okay.
bit before that, right? There's two things here. First of all, one other bit of fun flair, which is somebody watching you through a like a portrait or something. They do that, but it's through like a sort of 1950s sun cream advertisement. So it's like a beautiful woman in a bikini, and the eyes are just like guy who is about to kill you eyes, which is fun. And then second of all, they like capture him with the Uncle Chop, and the boss comes in and goes, right, I want this twink obliterated, put him in the sissy hypno headset.
Like, they go, zap my boy, and they put the fucking...
They put the device on him. They put him in the Oculus Rift, and then they strap
give him the drone helmet. They dronify him. So the bad guy is Mr. Barter. He's our lead bad guy for this movie.
You've got the drop,
Mr.
right?
Barter. No, I actually don't.
Of his little screams when he...
Oh my god!
No,
Oh my
I
god,
don't have
I
the-
have all three.
Oh.
Holy shit. So they put him in the
Yes.
fucking device, right? They put this like
Yeah.
deconstructed wireframe tape deck on his head, and they
Yeah.
go, hit him, and he goes... And they're like, you gotta talk, see? And... and then he dies.
Yeah, because like we work out after like one of these that what they're doing is like just electrocuting him, and I just really like the idea that like after one shot of this they have just given him ECT and cured his depression, but then they just give him two more and he just fucking dies.
And the first he's like, oh, I feel much better now. Wow, holy shit.
So he immediately dies and is immediately carried out of the room.
Not immediately, right? Because first the guy has to go, this guy is dead, to inform the viewer. And what a guy does to establish this is he like kneels next to him, cups one of his titties in two hands, and goes, he's dead, his heart gave out.
How you check people's fucking pulse? You just crook the tit?
They were really serious about the A Cup travel agency thing.
Yeah.
Oh, this dub's a gift. This is crazy.
me,
This is one of those episodes that actually I feel like we shouldn't be doing it like this. It should have been like an MST3K thing instead.
Yeah, 100%.
It feels like the dub was done and the people dubbing it only had the script. That's the only way I can like make sense of this is if they couldn't see the movie. They only had.
Oh, I have some thoughts about that later on. But so they just carry him out of the room, and then Barter and one of the women who is with him like go, all right, we got to flee to Mallorca, I guess.
We're all going to go and hide on the yacht. We're going to get on board the Mandubia is the name of the yacht.
Literally, I saw this last night, and if you paid me £1 million, I could not have told you the name of the fucking yacht.
Yeah. So they go to the beach. There's this fucking hilarious moment where Mr. Barter is with the sexy lady. He's like his assistant, whatever. Just goes, I'm quite like Napoleon, you know.
Yeah, because he always makes his enemies fight on the ground he has chosen, apparently.
It's just such a, like, we need a moment where the bad guy, like, says something intimidating, or, like, you know that bit in fucking Jack Ryan where Kenneth Branagh has the painting of Napoleon, or, you know, he's got something to establish, like, I'm like, you know, the great villains of history, and then he just goes, I'm like Napoleon. What? He just says it.
Yeah. So they get him on board the boat, and then we get a weirdly involved and detailed and specific body disposal scene. And this is something I think about a lot, right? Is that like in old movies, right? It's a bit like the Anarchist's Cookbook, right? In old movies, they hadn't realized yet that people would mimic stuff they saw on screen. And so you can actively learn things from old movies because they hadn't figured out that, like, for this bomb-making scene, no, we need to be as realistic as possible. We got some guy who did it in the war. We just have him make a fucking bomb.
We just
instead
film
of,
him
like,
do it,
pouring an Erlenmeyer flask of chemical X into chemical Y, right? No, it's just, like, the guy's actually doing the thing. In the same way, we got a bunch of guys to, like, stuff a dead body in an oil drum, fill it with concrete, weld the oil drum closed, and then, like move it and dump it in deep water. And it's shot sort of in a very uninspired way, but this is the one moment that actually has a sort of like darkness to it. It's like, you motherfuckers are not acting. I have seen your acting. You're not good enough at it. You've done this before.
Yeah, they do him like Jan Marsalek.
Oh yeah. No, he's gone. It's crazy. I think this was from before they realized that spy movies and mob movies are kind of not supposed to be wholeheartedly the same. I think there was some like early bleed between those genres.
Also, I don't give a shit about Murphy, so it doesn't really. I don't care.
You don't care about. You don't care about it.
No,
he gave his life.
He was only in it for 3 scenes.
He did. They were like, he said straight past in. They send him over. He gets killed.
And like, he never has a scene with FX-18. So when FX-18 much later finds out about it, he's like, "Oh no, not Murphy." I'm like, "Were you guys friends?" Like,
not my Zuma protege.
So also at this point we meet Leela.
Yes, we do. Leela.
Jarring shift in tone.
Would you like to know what Leela's character is?
I'm a woman.
That's it. Whole thing.
I think, yeah. So there's some shit going on with Leela.
Yeah, Margit Coxis is playing Leela, and so Leela's deal is she's a beautiful blonde woman. She like hangs out on the boat, and she has a question mark flirtation scene. It's sort of like dueling misogyny, right? With Noro, where
well, there's something that we need to like preface with Leela is that she's not just a beautiful blonde woman who's hanging out on the boat. There's no other way to say it. She's child coded. Like
That's true.
she has bunches in her hair, and she like noticeably drops several times. That she's like, "Oh, my guardian wouldn't like that." It's like they're specifically portraying her as like young and like manipulable.
A dubious tradition of just doing this with women that the movie also wants you to find sexy. I mean,
I never learned to read.
Exactly. Yeah, we're back to I never learned to read.
Yeah, and before that, I mean, there's plenty of like women in the Connery Bond movies who are coded that way, as being sort of like childish because women are simpletons.
Well, I mean, that's almost a direct quote from the fucking film.
Yeah, absolutely. So Noro then tries to seduce this child-coded woman. I should also say that the captain of the yacht, the Mindubia, who, is the captain because he's got a captain's hat on, is the most bullied man in the world, but also wildly in love with her.
Yeah.
Every time this guy does anything, like, he just gets bullied in a sort of nautical theme by the nearest person to him, which is not a trait that you want in a captain, I don't think. But, like, he's just, like, standing by the thing when they're, like, dumping the zoomer overboard, and Noro, on his way to nonce up this woman in passing, goes, oh, and you go fucking reef some knots, you cunt, or whatever.
Yo ho ho, bitch.
Splice the main brace, asshole.
Anyone looking for a nautical themed bullying? Hit me up. I don't know.
So Noro flirts with Leela
Yes.
by explaining his evil plan, which is that
Thank God.
you know, we're Spectre basically. I have a science device, and what we do is we steal information from military bases.
The way they introduce the device is so funny because they're kind of like flirting, which is to say that they're arm in arm and just saying adjectives to each other. Where she's like trying to get information out of him, and he's like, intelligent for a woman, and she's like,
That's a direct
yes,
quote.
and he's like, obstinate for a woman, and she's like, and he's like, perspicacious for a woman,
Keeps
and
touching
then
her. Like, it's so creepy.
it's gross, and then his phone goes off in like the closet of the boat room, and he goes, excuse me, I've got to take that. Please excuse me while I retrieve the device.
An alert goes off on his phone, and he's like, "Oh shit, it's prime time! I gotta post nudes."
Goes off his phone. He's like,
He's
the girls are fighting?
he like sets up this little antenna
Gotta log on to Discord and like communicate with the boys.
and a little laptop, and he's like, "What's up, YouTube? Here's today's P color."
You can get famous for anything these days, and that's beautiful in many ways.
Yeah, he's a micro influencer.
I'm huge.
I'm huge on like P color updates.
Yeah.
Tumblr. He sets up this little fucking antenna, and he's like, by the way, one of these switches is booby trapped. I'm just volunteering this information now, so it'll come in handy later.
So the idea is that like what they do is they steal information about allied military bases and shit. They transmit that information around. It's all coordinated from the yacht, and he's got like a satellite transmitter that like beams this information up, and they're giving it to the other side, which I'm guessing is the Soviets.
Yes, they never say that though. The movie actually kind of hedges its bets on who's about to win the Cold War, which is really funny.
Yeah, that's quite funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
It's almost like the makers of this film are like, well, what if the Soviets win? We want them
Yeah.
to still like the movie.
If there are T-55s parked on the Champs-Elysees, we want to be able to release this movie unaltered. So, you know, the other side it is.
Yeah, we don't want to spend any longer thinking about producing this movie than we possibly can.
And then having logged on and you know checked in with the boys on Discord, Noro then kisses Leela. She goes along with it, but doesn't seem. I wouldn't say she seems enthusiastic.
No. At this point, I believe we now have to go back to Paris, where M drags FX-18 out of retirement by calling him and yelling at him on the phone again. And
So he's next to the pool with another sexy lady, and then M calls him and is like, "Yo, Murphy's dead," and we're like, "Oh no, not Murphy, not my boy,
not Murphy.
He was only 60 years away from retirement."
So this guy who he has one good line in this scene, or one funny line, although it's funny in a problematic way when you think about it, which is the woman who he has been like sunbathing next to this whole time goes, "When will you be back?" And he's like, "If I'm not back in 3 days, have breakfast without me." This is the problem is, right? This is where the movie goes off the rails.
Yeah, this is where it stops being funny.
Yeah, he drags FX-18 back to Paris. There's a scene where he briefs him, but FX-18 isn't in the shot because Ken Clark just didn't want to be in this one, so they just do it without his face, and his hand is like sort of reaching out from one side of the shot to like play with M's desk toys.
I wonder what they were doing in that. I was like, why isn't your leading man in the shot?
No, he just didn't do that scene, and they just had to do it without him. Like. It's just a guy's lower body. That's like a Ken Clark double who's like, in order to prove he's still in the scene, is like busy fucking with like Newton's cradle and stuff on M's desk.
Just film it another day or what?
He keeps just hitting X to interact the whole time.
Who made this? Why?
Award-winning director.
Academy Award-winning director Maurice
Was it the award
Bosch.
for most improved?
Is it a remedial Academy Award? Do they?
So at this point he goes, right, I'm
to
going
him as a joke.
in order to like disrupt this plot, first you must become Corsican. Second
Yes.
of all,
Yeah.
for extra special cover, you'll be issued a wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just a wife though.
For extra special cover, you will be issued 2 men.
Just 2 men.
Go undercover and find out. Is a question mark. You'll be accompanied by another agent who's going to pose as your wife, Patricia. Now, whatever you do, don't fuck her. And also, we will send 2 criminal dipshits with you.
Whatever you do, don't fuck them.
Yeah, I don't think we ever like find out their name. In my notes, I just called them the Spaghetti Brothers, Mario and Luigi.
I just called them Goon 1 and 2, but
The Jean and Manuel in the dub, and then on the cast list they're Legay and Fondant. But like, yeah, they are 2 dipshits. You can tell one of them's a dipshit because Legay, because he's wearing like a sort of like a check suit top, which is always like the mark of a clown. And they go, okay, well, let's get into trouble with the boy FX-18, and it is like a boys' trip, and I appreciate that dynamic. The other thing I appreciate is that they immediately go, listen, we're not going to break any laws or anything. We promise, leave, and go, right, so are we just like blowing up this yacht and sinking it or what? Which is great for 2 reasons, both because it's like a break from the usual Bond thing, but second of all, because having 3 French secret agents go like responding to the stimulus yacht with sink is inherently funny if you are aware of the Rainbow Warrior.
That is darkly funny. I've stood on the deck of the Rainbow Warrior. In fact, I've dived it. It's they fuck shit up.
You stood on the deck. You had these explosives in your hand and like a miniature French flag in the other hand.
Then we get another fight.
So they go to Mallorca, fuck shit up. And so FX-18 says to the Spaghetti Brothers, right, what you're going to do is, I need you, there's 2 women on this yacht, right? Leela and question mark.
Nina?
Whatever. Seduce them, question mark. Do spy cops shit to them. Like, you know, have sex with them under false pretenses.
So funny. It's so funny for a Bond movie to do like, instead of any gadgets, we're just going to give you a full party. Like, we're just giving you 3 companions. We've given you some guys.
Yeah, it's quite funny that instead of giving him any gadgets, just like, here's 2 guys.
Yeah, here's 2 goons to help you out.
One thing I will say about these goons, by the way, is that one of them, the bigger one, I don't remember whether he's Legay or not, but he's a much better actor. He's the only one with any charisma in the whole fucking movie.
Yeah, Mario.
And he's like clearly also like a wrestler by training, because all of the fight scenes he does, he's just wrestling motherfuckers, and he's great at it.
Yeah, he's the Dave Bautista.
Yeah, absolutely. He also like genuinely, they should have given this guy the job, he does get a fascinating insight into 1960s French regional nationalisms.
I am not French. I am Corsican.
Also, that's the voice they give him.
That's the voice they gave him,
yeah.
I also have that one.
So they go down to Mallorca and they notice Leela being harassed by 2 sailors. And so they're like, oh, here's our opportunity to, like, you know, get in with her. So they jump in, they fight these sailors. There's silly music.
Old-timey piano music.
Yeah, it's like
one of the
saloon
sailors
music.
is a man of color, and he does have a line. So at least we're doing better than the last movie we watched.
He also gets punched to the ground, arrives sort of like head first at a beautiful woman's feet, and just kind of stares at them Tarantino-like for a minute until his boss makes him get back in the fight. So representation for non-normative sexualities, I suppose.
Representation for fellas who go awooga when they see a hot dame's ankles. And that's fine.
That's right. So at this point, our boy FX-18 shows up. He's wearing like a dipshit trilby and sunglasses.
Oh, no, sorry. Well, first of all, Lilo's grateful to Mario and Luigi for rescuing her. And then they leave. Her and Arlene is the name of the other lady. They're like, we're going to get back on the Mandubia and sail away. But they tell the Spaghetti Brothers where they're heading.
Yeah. Mallorca, I think.
To some grotto or whatever. J'aime les grottes.
Yes.
At this point, Francis and Patricia arrive. He's dressed as Drill in a fedora.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we make that the episode art? I'll go back and find
Yes,
it. But he is
definitely.
wearing
Yeah,
like
send it to me.
a trilby sunglasses. He looks like Drill. Patricia is, let's not say that this is a dynamic that the genre has outgrown, because it's the same one that happens in Casino Royale, right? It's just fucking polished over a little bit, where he's like, interesting, I'm gonna have to be husband and wife, and she's like, no, strictly business. Except here, because we don't have the intervening 80 years or whatever of polish, he just like grabs her around the waist and sexually menaces her.
Yeah, this
for a bit.
this is like sexual battery. This is a crime. She
Yes.
even has
He
to
also
say, "Please don't." Like,
he has this is the worst line in the movie to my mind. He says she's trying to get like involved in the mission. He's like, no, you're just part of the scenery. I'm like,
yeah, disgusting.
This is a
fuck this guy,
agent.
fuck this movie.
Yeah, this movie fucking blows.
She's putting her life on the
really bad.
line for her country, which is France, Belgium,
question?
America.
It
Yeah.
might be France.
Wherever she's from, she's putting her life on the line for it. Like,
Very Jerk Van der Klaar.
in order
You know? I don't know what my
to,
country is, but I will die for it. So at this point, all
Fuck up the bride, boys.
oh my god, this scene.
they and the Blowjob brothers go to dinner to like spy on a guy, and so two things. First of all, so they have a series of bits about ordering drinks, right? Where
They do.
the two Blowjob brothers, they order like a workman's whiskey, which is a white wine, and then they order
A Russian sherry, which is a red
Russian
wine.
sherry. Yeah, and make fun of the waiter for not knowing what these are. But then the waiter gets around to FX-18.
Give me a lemonade with a big scoop of cream, please.
Yes, madam. For you, sir? Tomato juice. Anything in it? Yeah, some milk.
What the fuck?
I call it a rusty venture. I mean, like,
We gotta kill this guy. We gotta take this guy out.
of all the fictional drink orders I've ever heard, I believe this may be the worst.
But my guy, that is soup.
Yeah, a nice tall Collins glass full of gazpacho, please.
That is a soup. You have ordered soup in a glass. What the fuck are your croutons? What the fuck?
This is clearly meant to be a joke because,
Yeah.
like, the guy that they're watching goes, "Oh, with a drink order like that, they must be American tourists."
Yeah.
But that's the thing about a joke is that it's not funny.
I don't know.
I mean,
doesn't-
not also to let lemonade and cream slide. What?
Yeah, I just really like the
Freaks.
sensation of like cream curdling in my mouth, I guess. That's one thing in this scene. The other is that we go back to the Blowjob brothers, and this is where I learned something about the dub, right? Which is, you remember from House of Gucci, a little expression.
Faster.
So French like Italian has a bo, right? Like BOH, BOF, whatever. There's a bunch of different ways of pronouncing it. However, one of them that doesn't exist is
Red wine as early as this? Bull.
now that is an English speaker reading from a script and going bo, and I really appreciate
What?
just sort of like give me like your best ox noise, please. Bo.
Yeah, just seeing like a transliterated local mannerism and being like, okay, I'll see what I can do with it.
This is delivered in a low monotone.
Red wine as early as this? Bull.
Just
But I genuinely, after watching this movie, I was just playing these to myself and laughing. That was so fucking good.
It sounds like the GoldenEye N64 guys getting shot. Ew.
I'm gonna work for all my life to make sure that that's the noise I make when I die.
What if you die like normal style? What if you die at like the age of 97 in an NHS hospital? You just go out, it's like surrounded by family.
There's not going to be NHS hospitals when we're 97.
97 there might be. 50 there won't.
Nurse holding your hand, and you know the monitor goes flat, and you just let out a, and then just go completely limp. Perfect.
Just
Yeah,
ragdoll
100%.
and like
just
yeah,
immediately, ragdoll, like I've just...
the option to
Just
loot your
Jake
inventory appears. And it's not labeled pickpocket, it's just take.
Yeah. It's not a red chest or anything. It's
Yeah.
just like a normal one. They're like, cool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have anything worth taking at that point. What's my inventory going to be in an NHS hospital when I'm dying?
Gown, you take off the gown and, like, I guess...
Prescription drugs. A lot of them.
Yeah.
Just pockets full of them.
Yank right out of the bloodstream. So, at this point, at this point, it gets like the last chapter of Gravity's Rainbow in my notes at this point. Time and meaning start to sort of like decoalesce. I'm sort of like partially convinced that this was actually a secret movie adaptation of Infinite Jest. I just like I don't know what happens next.
Yeah.
The only thing I know
You
that
don't
I
have to watch
next
this one if you're following along at home.
is that my next note says no fades between scenes, only cuts. Time has no meaning anymore.
Yeah. Well, so a couple of things happen. Is the FX-18 and Patricia...
No fades, only cuts. It's a bloody... What a barber.
This is what they killed Murphy over. Yeah.
FX-18 and Patricia go to Valdemosa Monastery, which is a lovely place where I have actually been in real life. And they...
as an agent of the French Secret Service.
Right,
you had those
just before
explosives.
I killed those Greenpeace people. And so they get like a secret case. They swap cases with a contact. And FX-18 gets a gun, which will be important later.
Oh, yeah. He gets a gun on the radio. And then he's like fucking around with this gun. And he gets put in the Ali Karen Bay situation, right? Because Patricia, in the course of hanging out with him 2 times, has gone from strictly business, Mr. Bond, to why won't you fuck me in the ass now, Mr. Bond? In the same way as, like, fucking every other movie of this genre still, to this day. Like, there is no fucking movie apart from, and I shit you not, this is, like, Austin Powers 1 that attempts to subvert the trajectory from strictly business, we just work together, to, no, this boundary's coming down eventually, and pretty soon I actually will want you to have sex with me. Like, it
honestly, it'd be
genuinely...
refreshing to see it go the other way.
Yeah, no,
Having a spy
100%,
movie that's like the romance is a breakup, and then they become colleagues at the end, that would be kind of good.
But like, what kind
also
of message does this send as a sort of a fantasy thing that you can't just have a woman like work with you? She has to like be worn down eventually to the point of like wanting to fuck you.
But it happens off screen, so the men watching the film, presumably in the 60s, don't even get the fantasy of like, oh, he uses just the right line or whatever. It's just like off screen, she has a lemonade and cream, and then it's just like, I want your cum in my ass.
She's like, I need something to take the taste out of my mouth.
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
God, this is the closest thing.
Give me that unwashed 60s dick.
Yeah, also
unwashed, unshaved 60s man dick.
His solution for the Ali Karen Bay situation, being bothered for sex by a woman, is so rude. Which is he gets up, grabs her like under the arse, like in a sort of like fireman's carry, and then just like dumps her in bed and goes back to his spy paperwork? ?
Yeah, what the fuck was any of that?
Doesn't even really add anything to the movie either. Like, none of this needs to be in.
Anyway,
obviously the whole movie is shit, but like this part doesn't even need to be in it.
So back on the boat, Nora is talking to Leela and Arlene, and they're like, "Look, the Spaghetti Brothers, they're spies, right? We all know they're spies." They're like, "Yeah, they are, cool." So they say, "Okay, Leela and Arlene, take them for like a walk and like make it look like you're gonna fuck them, and then we'll take care of the rest." So Leela takes Mario for like a walk on the beach, and the implication is just like, oh, how about a walk to my pussy? You know? She tries to warn him to run.
Not very hard, but yes.
Hard, yeah.
I also do want to say that, like, both in the fight scene and kind of in this, like, it's not much, right? Because of the direction, the editing shit. But like, this allegedly Corsican guy, again, has more charisma than the protagonist of the movie.
Yeah, he does a great job. Like, he's fighting, and this is great. Shame about the editing.
Yeah. He's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
But he gets overpowered and captured. And the whole next 90% of the movie is guys talking into radios for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
But your boy FX-18 like has followed him for some reason.
To a really cool cave.
Yeah, to a really cool cave where he's getting like tortured by getting like beaten, and he's kind of like shrugging it off because he's a cool guy and he's tough.
Luigi's also been captured.
Yeah, Luigi gets captured kind of as an afterthought. Like, Luigi's not really, like, in this movie.
Yeah.
And so, FX-18 rescues them, and in the process, like kills a couple of guys and captures Leela. Now, one thing we established
gets shot. The thing is, there's no music in this fight sequence, so it's just really flat.
There's no music in the fight.
It's the classic sort of Man from U.N.C.L.E. thing too, where the woman gets killed, but she has to get killed by accident because you can't have a guy kill her. So she just like gets sort of like thrown in the path of a bullet. It's dumb. So one thing we established earlier at this monastery is that the code phrase for identifying yourself as a member of this, like, you know, the good guys is something about the orange blossoms.
The scent of the orange trees must be lovely or something like that.
So Leela is like, I'm not going to tell you anything. I love working for Spectre. It's cool. And gets slapped by
So
FX-18.
First of all, FX-18 slaps her across the face. She then pulls a gun.
Yeah.
And he just like hits it out of her hand and like beats her.
The same problem as OSS 77. You can't keep very buttery guns.
So he beats her. We cut to Mario and Luigi off screen. We hear the noise of her being beaten more. It's like pretty brutal. We cut back and he's like spanking her.
Yes, for comic effect.
He's got her over a knee.
Is that the effect? Right.
Yeah, that's why we cut back to Mario and Luigi, is because they're laughing about it, and as you, the viewer, are meant to also, because this is the correct way to treat a like childlike woman. And then at the end of all this, she goes, "Oh, by the way, the fucking orange blossoms, because I've been undercover the whole time.
She's an agent for
you.
the good guys the whole time."
I mean, this is obviously terrible and extremely bleak, and it's going to ratchet up the M on the scum system.
It gets worse.
However, I do want to hold out some credit for a me-style move of knowing perfectly well that you could defuse this situation instantly and still trying to engineer it to kind of top from the bottom to get spanked.
You would hold off your reveal.
That code phrase is like a safe word for her, and accidentally that's a little bit funny.
All right, yeah.
The way that it's intended, terrible. The way that I am choosing to read it, funny.
But she reports in, she's like, "Yo, I'm the secret agent on the Mandubia, you fucking dipshit." Like, she then cries, and he kisses her on the nose, as you would a child.
Yep.
It's deeply fucked.
And then, sort of after this, for more or less the whole rest of the movie, she exists in this strange space where the movie can't remember whether she is, like, one of the good guys or their prisoner. She's, like, tied up for half of it, too.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's me move, right? Like, but, like...
So FX-18 doesn't tell anyone else that she's on their side. She's taken as a quote-unquote prisoner. At this point, we nudge up the violence score as well, because FX-18 has some boys. He has some dudes who are helping him now, apparently.
He does.
So they snorkel, deeply funny, they snorkel up to the Mandubia in broad daylight, somehow unobserved, because they didn't have the budget for scuba
Snorkels
diving.
up to you in broad daylight.
Yeah, like, obviously they meant it like they stealthily infiltrate the boat, but they shot it during the day and didn't have scuba equipment, so they just like very obviously snorkel to the boat.
Yeah, they didn't have the, like, sort of know-how to do day for night.
Yeah.
Also a much better French movie we could have watched. So instead, we just have, like, approaches you at snorkeling pace.
Yeah. Like, splish, 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 like, yeah, very obvious. And then they get aboard and they're like, "Oh, capture Nora alive, kill everyone else."
Capture the captain alive, too, because we need him for this next
the captain
scene.
and Nora and kill everyone else. So they kill the entire crew who are, like, unarmed.
Yeah, they just stab him.
Yeah.
Piratical, sure. Then, so they don't find Nora, but they're just left with the captain. So what they do is they set him up in a room opposite Leela, and then this woman just fucking loves to get tortured for work. Like, it's contrived at this point.
I don't
it's
think
really
she
sort
knows
of like,
this is going to happen.
No. Again, this is me fucking adhering a bit to the thing because the actual thing is fucking atrocious.
So Mario still thinks that she's a prisoner, and Mario, like, first of all, pushes her over. And the idea is when the captain wakes up, he's in love with Leela. FX-18 does not clear this with her first. So the plan is like, okay, we're going to interrogate the captain, and if he doesn't tell us where Nora is, we're going to make him watch Mario beat Leela, which is what happens.
Yeah, and it works. Torture works.
But torture on someone else. And like Mario is just like this enormous man, this like huge, it's just like beating this woman. Like it is fucking disgusting.
Yeah, and it's shot that way too. Like, and again, there's the sort of the texture of this within the movie is that like oh, this is maybe a bit ruthless, but like fine, basically. Like it's not intended to be a sort of like, man, this really shows you the fucking, the dark heart of FX-18 or whatever. It's just like, no, this is sort of like much of a muchness. This works. He tells them where the device is, which is just in a closet, which she knew because she had seen it, and that she already knew.
What was the purpose of this?
Yeah, what did they need to learn? Nora's not here, we know. Like, the satellite dish is here, we know. Like,
yeah, and then she has to go, like, still within her cover, oh, by the way, don't hit that button, because that button's fucking booby-trapped. And then at the end of all this, standing in the doorway about to leave, FX-18 blows her cover in front of the guy she got, like, tortured in front of in order to protect it. By just going, oh, by the way, she's been working for us the whole time.
And like Mario is like horrified. Well, not really.
Yeah,
no, he's fine.
This is what I put in the. I was like, this is a truly live and let die level of being abusive towards a deep cover agent. She's on your side. Are you fucking stupid? Because like, what are you like? What's happening in your head here, mate? FX-18. What is even going on?
It's I don't.
So then some inexplicable shit happens. They go up to the top deck. Somebody's found Murphy's wallet. Oh no, Murphy, not him. We hear a gunshot downstairs. Mario has shot the unarmed captain, and then Leela.
He's a fun line for that where he's like, "I anchored him."
Yeah.
Which, okay.
Leela slaps Mario, presumably in revenge for having been beaten, but then she just like immediately faints.
Yeah, classic woman.
That was
activity.
so funny.
What
I don't
was
know
that
what even
about?
happened there. She slapped him and then
swoons.
fainted.
Yeah, fainting brackets girl coded as a swoon, I would say. And she does that because there's nothing else they could think of her to do in this scene emotionally, so she's just like, oh, I'd be unconscious now.
Maybe she passed out from being beaten. She's fucking concussed. Like,
yeah. At this point, FX-18 is like, all right, we gotta Rainbow Warrior this shit. Returning to sort of institutional memory, we gotta blow up this boat. We focus in an alarmingly close shot on one of his boys' tactical shorts pocket from which he retrieves some explosives. They take the fucking device with them, and then they blow up the boat.
Leela dives overboard and like runs away, but she dives. The actress kind of fucks it because she just completely belly flops and like fucks the dive. And I'm like, you didn't get another take of that? It's a
Probably
shit
because
dive.
she's been dodging like stage punches all fucking day.
Yeah. Understandably, she's like, I don't want to be with these guys anymore. They've got two modes: violence or sexual harassment. Like, I'm out. She leaves.
The two sort of like interact. Interestingly, it is a theory of a world in which men are violent and women love it. I think. So. Yeah, at this point, they got to go find Noro.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
the antagonist.
we go back to the hotel room, and M is there, and he's like, "Great work, FX-18, but track down Noro and track down Barter as well." Patricia is like, "Please fuck me in the ass."
Yeah,
and FX-18 is just like, "No, I need to."
No, a bit too busy like spanking this woman.
He's like playing with his gun, and he's like, "I'm expecting company," right? Leela, meanwhile, goes back to the bad guys and is like, "I barely escaped with my life," and they're like, "Oh shit, like, welcome back."
It's so weird to see an actual spy in a spy movie.
Yeah, she's like, "All right, I'm doing it. I'm gonna fucking make this. I'm gonna do the spy
she
stuff."
Is good at her job. Like,
yeah,
they're also just like, "Why are you covered in bruises?" And she's like, "Yeah, fuck it." So goons break into the hotel room. And they demand the transmitter, which M has. M's taken it away. So the goons break into the hotel room. There's three of them. FX-18 is sitting on the couch. They subdue him. The third goon, without pausing, walks straight to the back of the shot where Patricia is lying in bed and just like starts beating her.
Yeah, for no reason whatsoever.
I mean, like, wind up, like, hand all the way back, just bam! Bam!
This is a movie that loves slapping women. It loves it, like, more than anything. It's sort of like a vehicle to deliver that to the viewer in the form of a spy movie. It's like, really...
it really is. Like, I think about that thing you talked about, the deniable pornography, but like, he just, without pause, like an actor badly following blocking, just walks straight to the bed as if that was his intention all along. Like, doesn't stop, doesn't notice her and decide to do it, just walks straight up to her and just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah,
like, what the
the
fuck
spanking is
happening?
absolutely pornographic. So
Yeah.
So at this point, they both get captured. And we have to do some more torture pornography, right? Because
Patricia gets put in the Bond wiggler.
yeah.
The girl flattener.
Bond crusher.
To make the girl
Yes.
flat.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big. I don't know. Is it meant to be a wine press?
Must
I don't
be,
know.
right?
Something like
I
that.
don't fully know where they are. It's not really clear.
In a castle or a mill?
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
she's under a big stone and she's going to get
It's a
crushed.
secondary location.
And Barter is like, tell me where the transmitter is, or she'll, she paid a lot of money for that nose and it's going to end up looking real flat.
Dave Courtney there. No, but so
Why,
the FX-18.
why doesn't she tell them where the transmitter is?
Oh, because she's a highly trained agent and not just like
The
some
movie has
dipshit.
forgotten that she's a spy
Yeah.
still.
She knows because M said, I'm going to go and stay at this dude's house. And I'm taking the transmitter
she's
with
like
me.
bravely maintaining cover while FX-18 is like not giving a shit at all. And it's not even meant to be like, oh, he's like being forced to display this icy exterior where he's like, Bond does this a few times where he's like, go ahead, kill her, I don't even give a shit. No, he just actively is like that. Yeah.
I fully believe it. He's like, kill her, whatever. What are we doing here?
At which point, Noro's like, okay, yeah, good point. I guess you really don't give a shit if I like juice this woman in front of you.
He's like, okay, there's no fun in it for me then, I guess, so fucking let her go, whatever.
Yeah. Let's go to a tertiary location, a little room. And this is Barton, not Nora, excuse me. And because we got to get rid of these guys pretty quickly after this.
Oh, but sorry, if you're wondering what the Mario and Luigi were doing, they're outside because they've been told not to go in until 5:30, and they're being real sticklers about that.
There is a fun line there where Luigi's like, there's like gunfire at this point, and Mario's like, you know how he gets, like he's gonna be really shirty about it, and I kind of like that. So Barter's like, okay, where's the fucking device? I have your own gun, and I'm gonna mention that it's your own gun. I'm pointing at you about 50 times because I didn't bring my own, and I had to use yours, or I preferred the theatrical irony of it.
I hate when you have to ask the gym teacher if he can use his gun.
You're going to a fancy restaurant and you're like, there is a dress code. Do you have a gun? And I'm like, can I borrow one from the cloakroom? Do you have like a house gun?
I forget to return it. Everyone's mad at me. Oh, they're all chasing me about it. I don't know where it is.
It turns out it's the gun that kills you instantly.
Yes.
Yeah, he was modifying. The reason why he wasn't having sex with that beautiful woman last night was because he was making his gun shoot backwards because his intention was for this to happen.
The gun that fires poison darts back into your dick.
It's Curare as well, just for the thematic.
Just for the crack.
A little bit of flair.
Where'd he get that? Never mind.
Don't worry about it.
The other thing is,
he's one of the last people on Earth who could use Curare.
This is one of the like few moments where the movie rallies. I can't stress enough,
No,
right?
It doesn't. I'm sorry, it does not. This happens with no flair. Like the guy, just same unbroken shot. Like Barter's just like L.
The gun that kills you instantly is at least a funny bit. The fucking preeminent emotion watching the back hour of this movie is boredom. Like, it's genuinely the film I have enjoyed watching the least. Not in the sense that it's like the morally worst, although it is pretty bad. It's that it's like so poorly assembled and made that it's like very, very difficult to follow or stay invested in at all. Like doing a like critical reading of this is like profoundly enervating.
Doing a reading of this at all is nigh on impossible. It's unintelligible.
But so at this point, they go and chase after Noro, who tries to gas them with some gas that he has.
Again, unclear. Yeah, because so he just sort of throws a substance onto the ground. I don't really understand what's happening here. But it's like it's fuming really strongly. And they're supposed to be like trapped in this room with it, but it's lit like outside. So I thought they were just stood near it on the cobblestones and just going,
But yeah, FX-18 and Mario get stuck in this room that's filling with gas. Patricia drives a truck through the wall and rescues them, and she still has to be rescued by him from the cabin of the truck.
Yeah, because women can't drive.
And she does a weird baby voice. She's like, "Oh, Francis," and it's like, what the fuck is happening?
Weird, sexy baby. Yeah, 100%. So at this point.
Diagnosis nonce on this film.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
this one's
100%.
one of our strongest non-someta readings
That's true.
of all time, I think.
So he chases Noro on a bike. Noro escapes onto a small private plane. FX-18 jumps in the back of the plane. They kind of steal this from Bond a little bit, but he like gets him at gunpoint. There's also the OSS 77 thing of no one being able to hold on to a gun. That gun changes hands about 3 times in that plane in the course of one scene.
Very slippery gun.
Yeah.
You need to start nailing the handles or some shit, man.
Yeah. At this point,
aluminium.
you know those like YouTube channels that do like compile old 60s footage of like, you know, the French army or whatever and set it to like, you know, EDM, like house music. It's cool. I like watching this. It's a good time. We get one of those without the cool music because we just get a bunch of like 60s French military file footage.
Yeah.
Because this is now an airborne hostage situation.
I mean, creative and a novel direction for the end of the film to take. Like,
sure. Noro like
Wasn't
calls in on the
expecting it.
radio and he's like, I have your boy at like very buttery gunpoint. I don't actually want anything. I'm just gonna like kind of fuck around up here.
just let me go. M scrambles the jets.
Yeah, M looks directly into the camera and goes, "Let's deploy the Armée de l'Air's new Super Mystères." We also get a really cool shot of 2 like gendarmerie helicopters as well, which mostly just distracted by those at this point. Oh god, force the plane down.
This is inexplicable. They force the plane down. It's on the runway. FX-18 jumps out of the plane and rolls to the side, and then the plane explodes for no reason.
Yeah.
Yep.
And my notes say, how can you film an explosion to be anticlimactic? It just kind of happens in the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the underwater knife fight being boring last episode. It's like, how are we managing this?
You filmed an explosion and it was dull. Like, but then there's a hilarious shot because M is in the air traffic control tower smoking. We cut back to him. He's like smiling, good job, right? But we're too tight in on his face, so the cigar is out of frame, and we cut mid-exhale. So what happens is we cut from like Francis at the side of the runway, like, oh, I just rolled out of danger time, and then we cut to what appears to be M just exhaling a cloud of weed smoke. And like just grinning, like, yeah,
the fucking spy who loved me.
I put this in the chat. It just looks like he's just like Snoop Dogg, just like breathing out the good weed, like, and just smiling to himself like a dipshit.
Fuck me.
And then final scene, Francis,
Let's go.
Francis, the Spaghetti Brothers, Leela, and someone, no, just them, they get pulled over by the cops as they're driving, and then Mary just goes, yeah, fuck you, pig, and drives away.
Disrespect the cops, which is at least an interesting like ending for this.
And that's the end of the fucking movie. Like, what the fuck was that?
Why are we doing it? All right, first of all, girls, it's over.
Thank
We've
God.
made it. We survived.
We're getting to the end of the movie,
Yeah.
like,
Talking about FX-18, Jesus fucking Christ. Second, what the hell was Luigi doing there? Why would you add a character to this and then not give them anything to do for the whole movie, but have them be there the whole time? Like, you wrote this movie, dog. You can just not have him.
They forget about Patricia about 50 times.
They don't know what side this is on by the end at all. Really.
Oh, it's barely a movie, to be honest. Like, there is very, very little going on here.
Yeah, and thanks so much to Discord user Maz for helping us find this one.
Yeah, it was
Really?
very, very difficult to like find. We had to like enlist some. This is going to be a recurring theme, I think, is we're going to have to like enlist your help to find prints of these movies.
Yeah, you can torture us like they tortured that Zuma guy.
I'll make sure I like have the names of whoever helped me with these.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
at the
that's
start of the
Holding out on
episode.
my like safe word code phrase watching this movie. The orange blossoms.
I'm not going to be able to not press that during the Q&A. I just want to be...
I know. We've
You're
given
gonna
you this
get it
power.
now.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, what do we think about this movie other than the fact that it's a very uninspired thing done on the cheap to try and rip off Bond that reflects a gross structural misogyny in French society that like even some of the Bonds, like the early Bonds, don't approach?
It's nasty.
Yeah, great, thank you. We have a science-based race.
I was having fun with this for the first 30 minutes because it was so bad. I thought we were finally going to get like Bond, but it's like made on a 50p budget and it's shit. Like Bond meets Dark Place. I'm here for that.
Mm-hmm.
But then it just becomes disgusting.
Problems with women. Many such cases.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like all of the reviews, all of the like, this is why like it's important that we do this podcast aside from us paying our rent, is all of the reviews, all of the like little blogs and stuff that exist to delve back into like forgotten Eurospy movies. None of like they're all sort of like approaching it on its merits as a Eurospy movie, and none of them have a problem with the way it treats women.
Yeah.
If you look at like the Letterboxd or the IMDb reviews of this, all of the bad reviews are like, and the girls aren't even hot, and it's like.
Jesus.
Now, okay, that's true, but that's not like the problem with the movie.
That's not the main issue of the movie. That's the thing. It's important to do. Normally, the people who would do deep dives on this kind of thing would be the guys who like Eurospy movies. So it's really important that a voice that absolutely detests these shits are doing this.
You could say that we remember it, so you don't have to.
I'd say we're culturally important.
Modern day Siskel and Ebert.
But if that is your review of it, then at a certain point you are just like ignoring the text of the film, because the film itself is telling you that the violence against women is funny and it makes the protagonist cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're not commenting on that, you're not talking about the movie.
Yeah, like I guess they're just taking it as read that everyone agrees with that to begin with, and then just moving on from there. And it's like, no, that's actually an assumption that you're starting with. We need to unpack here.
1964.
Oh.
But we can quantify these things because we have a science-based rating system on this podcast. It's called the SCUM system. It stands for SMARM, cultural insensitivity, unprovoked violence, and misogyny. Now, how smarmy is FX-18?
I feel like not. Well, he tries to be.
Yeah, it tries to be, and it just falls on its own
The
arse.
M
Like
character does a lot of like what I would describe as bits. They do a lot of like smarmy lines, but
FX-18 tries. Like what his first line when he runs into Leela is like, what do you want? He's like, you maybe. It's like dead smarmy. Like, but he doesn't deliver it in a smarmy way because it's a bad dub of a bad actor. Like, it's just kind of it's can we you charge attempted murder the same way.
You do.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, true. Okay.
So
They still send you to jail for it, yeah.
Yeah. Attempted smarm, I would say, counts for smarm.
4 or 5?
Yeah, I would do like a 5 for this, I would say.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cultural insensitivity.
I don't know.
I am not French. I am Corsican.
I don't know if that's culturally insensitive. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I think probably like our 5 Corsican fans are just like like up from their seats right now, just like, yeah, fucking tell him. Like,
I mean, there's like one character of color who just has nothing to do.
How would you say that you're like Napoleon when another guy is literally Corsican? Like, he's more Napoleonic than you are because he's from the same place.
And the Napoleon thing doesn't come back either.
No, it does, but they misaim it. Like, M has a callback to it, which is like, that's the wrong character and you've just forgotten.
Yeah.
Cultural insensitivity, aside from 2 Corsicans, as you say, it has one person of color. He has a line. He's sort of comic relief, but like not in a way that makes him distinct from any of the other comic relief, I would say.
Yeah.
That's very true, yeah.
It's hard to pull the thing. 3.
3?
3.
I would say 3. Yeah. There's like sort of micro Hitler particles coming off of it, but not enough to bump it from a 3 to even a 3.5, I would say.
Unprovoked violence. They kill everybody all the time.
Yeah,
they won't stop doing it.
A lot of unarmed people get killed.
Just like stabbing guys. I mean,
they won't stop killing unarmed people.
Multiple of this guy's plans involve torturing a woman he knows he shouldn't be torturing for no reason.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah, that is true.
that's both unprovoked violence and misogyny, even if it's unprovoked violence like at the hand of another in like one of those cases. I feel comfortable putting this at like, I don't know, like a
6?
5 or 6. Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
I could give it a 6. Like, just to kill everyone unarmed for no reason. Those are the crew. They're not part of Spectre. Like, they're just civilian crew.
Yeah.
Like, fuck me. And
then
misogyny.
Misogyny.
I mean, I think.
What do you reckon?
10.
Yeah.
On-screen sexual assault and on-screen violent assault.
Yeah, I would say so.
Well,
What did we
trade
give
is good.
Goldfinger again? Did we
That
give
was 9.
Goldfinger a 10?
9.
Well, it's not worse than Goldfinger.
Really?
It's as bad. Yeah, I think so.
No,
I
it's
think
not
there
worse.
is more on-screen assault in this. There isn't a corrective rape, but
That's true.
it is so.
I don't want to nickel and dime this.
The only movie we've ever given a 10 to for misogyny was Rambo 5.
Oh, I think it's right on the cusp between
I
9
think-
and 10.
I think it's rambunctious. Yeah, I think maybe 10.
I don't. The other thing is, I don't want to give. I don't want to
Okay,
like.
I'm happy to go with 9 though. But then again, this isn't my category.
Devin, I put you in a very uncomfortable position where you're like, anything that a woman says to me, I agree with.
I agree.
I have no principles, and I'm like, I think you should have principles, and you're like, you're right, maybe I should.
Yeah. You're talking about this. You're like, Devin, what do you think? And I just go,
I think it's as bad as Goldfinger, which we gave a 9 to. I'd be happy to go for 9.
Yeah, yeah, let's do 9.
yeah, okay.
So
And it's lucky to be getting away with a 9. Is my contention.
Yeah. That gives it a total score of 23, which surprisingly low. Have I done my maths right? 15?
I mean,
yeah, 23.
listen, sometimes the sort of the sabermetrics here are not a very good indication of how good the movie is, either morally or technically.
Actually, I think
or
that's because
artistically.
that is pretty high compared to a lot of things. It's like definitely among the worst Bonds. It's just because we've just come off the back of the Rambo franchise, which ended with a 36 and a
10s.
30.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we're sort of like there's some great inflation going on here.
yeah, yeah.
No, be under no illusions. This is a bad movie.
Yeah.
You should not watch it if you can find it, which thankfully you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, in
Right,
this case, it's fine that this one wasn't held onto. We don't need to archive this one.
No, both Ken Clark and FX-18 will return. Not together, though.
I just can't get over how like blatant the misogyny is in this. It's so
It's crazy.
it's like the theme of the movie is like it's acceptable
absolutely.
to just be violent and sexual towards child-coded women.
It's not good, is it?
It's pretty shit, I reckon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't watch it. But you can't. So
No, you had to experience it through us. But we're sort of like the sin eaters here. We perceived this movie. And you know what? If you feel bad for us, which you should, then we have a Patreon. For $5 a month, it might be pounds, don't remember. For £5 a month, you have access to bonus episodes. We do alternating episodes. We invented that model. So you get the second episode. The next one that we're going to do, I don't know, but we'll do some more European or at least non-American movies. And that should be a good time.
I've got some ideas. We could do New Zealand cinema.
Yeah.
I can sort of like do a bunch of Paolo Sorrentino movies and bang the table and say that I'm condemned to live every day of my life on this earth without a beautiful Italian girlfriend who like terrorizes me psychologically. And I
Reasonable.
think that's a huge shame. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to yet another episode of Kill James Bond. Wow, this this movie fucking blew. Jesus Christ, what a time. And I'm sure it's not the last one that's going to blow just as hard in this little adventure that we're doing. But next week on the free feed, we're going back to our man from last episode, OSS 117. That is 117. Those of you in the audience who aren't francophone. And if you are francophone, how are you doing? Unless you're from actual France, in which case, fuck off. But francophone people, how are you doing? Anyway, Yeah, he's next week. Other than that, if you want to support this episode, as Alice said, we do have a Patreon, and that is patreon.com/killjamesbond, all one word, where you can sign up for just £5 a month for 2 episodes, where we promise we won't be talking about Eurospy movies from the 60s. It'll be something different. Special thanks to our £15 above patrons, and those are Lo Bjornsdottir, Candy Fox, Freya Aloysius, Gustavo Lira, Jack Holmes, Mike Berg, Hannah Oberhart, Nick Boris, Power Dad, Jason Haag, George Ruha, Kentucky Fried Comedy, Yarrick, Drone Lover, Cohen Enright, Labor Delendes, Library Hitman, Beef Crime, Jack Drummond, Callum Burney, Max Game and Heart, Jonathan Gerd, Kit Divine Hell, J. Martin, Del Tarp, O, Mothman, Trip, Emery, or maybe Emerus, I can't decide. Fair enough. A Trans Robot, Trucker Blondie, Maeve Victoria Roth, Rosie Can't Fail. I called you Rosie Can't Fall in the previous episode, which implies that you're infallible, when in fact, actually, your name seems to imply that you're purely fallible. So I'm sorry about that. Touchable Tips, Joyous Uwu, Zan Hutchin, David Alexander, Steve Widdershins, Isopod Gal, Bronan, Clarification, Alex, Violet, Cyber, Liz and Ash in Florida, Annie, Ruby, Noblesse, Oblahaj, John 2089, Corvid, Cultist, Woolscott, Connor's Cool Big Sister, Barat Sukat, Sengchen, Ramona Random, Emily, Queen of Sloth, Zoe Shepherd, Electro, the Cyber Puppy, Abigail, Gwen Valeri, Los Pycock, Alfredo, Mortran, Al Irwing, Turf Seat Shit, Die Alone, Wolfie, Philippa Smith, Finn Ross, Millie, Josh Simmons, Robert Greensmith, and Lauren Baston. I'm recording this on the 3rd, and Patreon's doing the same sort of weird thing it does, so if you are paying for £15 and above and your name doesn't appear in that list, it's probably just not been swept up, and it'll be on the next one. Sorry. Nothing I can do about it. Kill James Bond is Alice, Abigail, and Devon. The producer is a wonderful neighbor Thay. Our podcast art is by Maddie Lubchansky, and our website is by Tom Allen. See ya. Mwah.